No.
What about you? Did you ever get hurt bad? Did you ever get hurt?
Yeah, just my wrist that time.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff?
Nothing ever too bad.
Oh yeah, I had plenty of bumps and bruises. Probably the worst one was here in Abilene or Salina. I got caught sitting on the wrong end, and Ron Heath introduced me to the duck.
Uh-oh.
I couldn't even tell you who won the Derby after that night. He smoked me. Oh yeah, I've seen stars.
He probably won it.
I think Chad pulled it off, but it was a doozy. Oh, that was way back in the day with Billy and Rocky was still out there. You were out there. I remember that.
Tommy.
The boys broke the tapes out not too long ago, and I was like, oh yeah, that night.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
All right, we got past the injury thing. What else has Chicken got lined up for us here?
Who was your guys' biggest rival?
There you go.
Did you have one?
Probably whatever town we showed up to.
Yeah.
I never had really a rival. It was just, okay, we're going to Salina. Salina guys.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to Harrington. Harrington guys. I mean, didn't really have a rival. We just wanted to make sure Abilene came home with money. And that's how we rolled. I don't know. You have any rivals?
Not
I
necessarily.
didn't even know if you and Chad was running while I was, but
Yeah.
when he first started
Oh.
out, he wasn't real good. And the next thing you know, he's winning everything.
Yeah.
It might be in his blood a little bit.
Did you guys teach him how to cheat? Is that what it was?
I don't know. You know.
Well, I won them first 2 nights of Salina, and I went to Abilene and won the first night of Abilene. And Chad made sure that I did not win the second night of Abilene. He had them other guys get me pinned down there at the south end, and he come all the way from the north end with an arena shot on me.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that was the big thing I didn't like about Abilene, because if you go out there and win, then everybody's going to be all over
They
you,
was
holding
after you.
so somebody else can beat you to
Just a
death.
target.
Yeah.
Just
And there
the
was
way it
Tommy and Billy and Chad. Chad just got started. And Doug and all them guys, yeah. Seemed like they was always after me, but one of them deals. I always got along good with them guys, but they
Well,
seemed
that
like
one-
they was after me.
That one year you showed up in an old Pontiac or something like that, a gold one.
Yeah.
You bought the night before or a couple days before that,
Yeah.
and you torched holes and wrapped some chain around it
Yep.
and everything. Come down to me and the Imperial on him, and he shut it off because he didn't want me to hurt the car so he couldn't run it again.
That was my next question. When it come down to you three at the end, game on. I mean.
Oh, it was usually game on. I mean,
Yeah.
but like Wally said, he had an Imperial, and that's kind of like beating against a
was-
Cadillac with a Volkswagen, you
I
know?
don't
Okay.
think
Not
I
too
ever
good
run a
fight.
derby with you in it, Jeff.
Oh yeah, we ran.
Did we?
Yeah.
Who won?
Um,
Well, obviously not Jeff.
that one. Well, I think way back in the day, we're going way back to 97, 98, because I started in 93, 94. We were in that late show, or the show that rained out, and Greg got first, Chad got second. Chad probably don't like this story. I got third, and I think he was in there on fourth, because the boys had the videos. But, yeah.
Last time I
there's a
remember
couple
running with
others.
Houston there, I ended up second and he was third, and I don't remember who won it, but you know, that was my last part of the years there. I didn't run much after that.
Yeah, 90s to the 2000s. Yeah, well,
I can't really tell you what last year I run.
That's kind of when I got into combines a bunch, and
Yeah, let's
was
hear
running
about this
combines.
combine deal. What's
Yep.
it like? What's it like? Derby
So
and
I ran the
combine?
first ones clear back, and they started them, and the first one started Salina or State Fair, and then the second year Salina had one of the State Fair. But the largest motorsports crowd that's ever been in Hutchinson Raceway down there was the second year of the Combine
Doing
Demolition
combines,
Derby,
huh?
because they flooded that grandstand, and then they started pumping people out there in the pits, and there was thousands of people out there. They said that was the largest motorsports crowd of any late model races, anything.
When you're sitting way up on top of a combine, running into another one, what take us
It's
through
quite
that?
an
What's it-
adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
I mean, these cars, they'll weigh, back in the days, they weighed 3, 4, 5,000 pounds on a big one, you know, big old wagon. Combines will weigh 10,000 pounds or
Yeah.
so. And you get to road gear and running two of them together.
Did
It's
they
a
hit
pretty good.
hard?
Oh, yeah. And when I first started, I had an old the very first combine run was a 101 International, old International. And then I had a 151, and then I got a 510 Massey with a 327 Chevy in it. And I took all the governor and the garbage off the motor and put a different carburetor on it, hooked it up with a foot feet. And then I maxed out all the drivetrain. So instead of going down the road about 15, 16 mile an hour, it'd run damn near 30 mile an hour. It would run.
Well, this is coming from the guy that had a 4-wheel drive lifted up truck on the street with a blower on it. So he's like the rest of us racers. If some is good, more is better. Too much ought to be just right.
Yeah, yeah,
So you rigged this combine like that.
yeah.
Did
And
that hurt
So what do you
when
out
hit
there-
somebody?
So
Sometimes.
is this combine prep similar to a car, or is
We-
it less work? Is
We
there-
take the reels off, we take the guards and sickles out of the header, all the sharp points and stuff. And you take, if it had a cab, most of them when we first started running didn't have any cabs, but if you had a cab, you took the glass out. Other than that, you could move to the fuel tank to the inside the grain tank if you wanted, and you could move the battery if you wanted. Otherwise, you left the fuel tanks right where they were and the batteries.
So what'd you do to like knock the rear axles?
Knock
off
the
of
rear
it?
axles out, blow the front tires out, break the final drives off,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yep. But that old Massey, the first night we come to Salina, we got rained out. They told us to take them all over and put them in the horse barns, and I got in trouble because the Bicenter was pretty new back then, and I pulled out there in the asphalt and started flipping kitties, and here come one of the fair board guys over there. Whoa, stop! And he's
put on a little
don't
show.
do that. He says, we're going to get in big trouble. He said, that brand new parking lot. He said, no, don't tear that up. I was smoking the tires out there, and we went and put them in the shed and come back and had a derby the next day. But yeah, that combine would really run. I hit a guy one afternoon in Enid, Oklahoma. We was on a racetrack down there, and I'd go clear to the top of that racetrack, and then I'd start shifting gears and coming downhill. And like I say, it'd probably run 30 mile an hour.
Wow.
I hit a guy at the bottom of the track and knocked the whole engine plumb out of the combine when I hit him, bent the header around and knocked the engine out of the darn thing.
Wow.
And then the guy come up to me afterwards and he goes, "You're the one that was driving that really fast combine, wasn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "I was waving at my buddy." He says, "I looked over there and I seen the oil plug fall out of the oil drain and the oil starts running out of the engine." And he said, "I'm going, stop, stop." And he said, "I looked up and here you come."
It's too late.
And he says, I thought, well, it ain't going to matter now. And he said, it didn't matter a bit. Knocked a hole through the block, broke the whole motor out of the combine. He says, we didn't have to worry about oil running out of there anymore.
It doesn't sound like it. Crazy.
Yeah, I run combines all over the country. I run up in Nebraska and I run here and there around Kansas and Oklahoma and state fairs. And
Why'd they quit running combines?
it's a lot of work. Takes big equipment to move them. They're not cheap to work on, but neither are these cars.
Yeah.
There's guys that put well over $50,000 in these cars now. But I mean, them combines are just the cars. You can load it up on a car trailer, go to the demo, run that night. They'll shove you back on there with a forklift or skid loader or something, and you can go home that night. Combines, it's a job to get them loaded if they got final drives broke off.
Wow.
And then, of course, they're oversized, so you can't move after dark. So you sit there till the next day before you go home. You know, and not everybody's got big equipment to haul combines around.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest downfall, and
I think that was the end of all that, I think, was why.
yeah.
Used up all the old junk ones and
Yeah,
yeah,
it was fun getting rid of combines that way. But we had them clear back in the mid '80s. We run combines for several years, and then they kind of quit running them. And the cars got so big that they was packing the stands every night with cars. And but anyway, we went away from the combines. Well, then Lance Brule, a buddy of mine, he called me one day and he says, "Hey," says, "you got something to ride on?" And I said, "What?" He said, "They're having a combine demo in Nebraska. Did you hear about it?" And I said, "No." "A combine demo?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Here, write this number down." I got it wrote on the dust in the fender on the tractor. He says, "I wrote the number down." So I call up there in Nebraska, and the lady said, "This is at Hastings." And she goes, "Yeah." She said, "You want to bring a combine or just come watch?" I said, "No, I want to bring a combine if I can. Tell me what day and when I got to be, when or where I got to be." And she said, "Well, are you going to the other one?" I said, "What other one?" She said, "Well, there's another one at Lexington.
Oh,
That's clear out west of us."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I might have to go to that one too. You got a number for that one?" So I went to both of them. I actually won. So the first year that I started running combines again, I won both of them. And then I got another one started in Albion, Nebraska for the guys up there. And they run theirs for several years. And then I come back and I got, so after I run Hastings and Lexington, I come to Abilene, went to the fair board meetings, and I said, "We need to bring them combines back." And I got them started back in Abilene, and we ran them for several years. I don't know, they was probably, 5, 6 years, I suppose, at least, and 7 years, I don't know. But they,
Liner ran them in '86.
yeah, oh yeah, we run 85 to, 88 or something in Salina, I think.
Yeah, I remember.
And,
Here at
but then we started in Abilene there again, and I don't know, it was in the 2000s, I guess, but 20 years ago probably. But I got it going back in Abilene, then got it going back, and of course they was hooked up running Salina deal too, so we had them in Salina. And it was good for the crowds. They brought a lot of people in.
Fun to watch.
Oh yeah, just I mean it's just something different.
Yeah.
And that's what I told the guys at Albion, Nebraska. I said, well, they was one. Of course, they had no idea what was going on, so I told them all this, and I said, "You got to get plenty of seating." And I said, "How many people is your grandstands hold?" And they said, "Oh, like almost 4,000 people." But we've never. I mean, we've got close on some late model races that are a real special race and extra stuff coming in. We've got close, but we've never totally overfilled the grandstands. I said, "You need to get some other seats lined up," and I think they thought that I was joking.
And they packed it.
They had 7,000
Nice.
people there that night. I said, "You get some combines sitting around town, you get to advertising good." I said, "It's all farm people up here." I said, "The curiosity will kill them. They got to come watch it
Yeah.
if you advertise it good."
Yeah.
So there was I think over 10,000 people that went to Kansas State Fair.
Yeah.
But
So with the day of the Derby World, like the secrets, everybody's got secrets. Everybody got things that were legal, illegal, whatever. What are some of those that you guys did that you can actually talk about now that, aren't such a big thing anymore?
Like Wally mentioned, putting the bolt
yeah.
in
Yeah.
the frame or something.
tires inside
Yeah.
the tires. And
What else?
that's about it. I didn't ever do anything else.
Really?
That's what people tell me now. You guys are cheating. No, we win, but we
Right.
don't cheat.
Yeah.
Tommy Markley always says, "Well, you guys got to be doing this and this and this." No, Tommy, I've never done that. You're telling me you are, though.
Yeah.
Kind of selling the farm, aren't you?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like, we pride ourselves on being able to
Yep.
win without bending around the rules and stuff
I got
like
the
that.
biggest kick out of being legal. I built them legal, and especially if the judges had enough gumption to tell them guys they were cheating and found something wrong and DQ'd them. I got the biggest kick out of that.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever got put on the trailer, so all my cars had to be legal.
Yeah.
I got told not to bring a couple back, but
Uh-oh.
Yeah, all my stuff was legit.
I mean,
I guess you bring that up. When that 1510 Massey I built, I put a big old wheel weight right up in the center of the feeder house. I cut the top of the feeder house open, dropped a big old wheel weight in there for extra traction and all that, and then welded everything back shut. And that thing would do tremendous wheel stands, like popping the back end up off the ground. It was good for that.
We went to Nebraska one time, and my youngest son wanted to run in his girlfriend's hometown derby, and she lived in Elgin, Nebraska, and
Oh, yeah.
the derby was in Clearwater.
Yep.
And so we looked the rules over and everything, and we kind of thought when we got up there that we took a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
Because their rules would let you on a car that was used, you could put 8 plates on it. But on a fresh car, you couldn't put any plates on. So we went up there with the box Ford. And the only thing we did on that car that wasn't in the rules was them Lincolns have them back windows, that wing window behind the back door that's about that wide, about that tall. We plated it. And we thought, well, the worst they can do is make us cut it. And so we showed up there, and the head official come over there and was looking our car over, and he had his son following him around. And the kid all of a sudden looks at Nick's car and he says, "That car's illegal. That car's illegal." And his dad looked at him and said, "What are you talking about?" And he was pointing at the radiator area because we'd foamed around the radiator to keep them from moving around so they don't get all beat up. And the guy says, "Oh no, you'll see a lot of that today," and that. But they never once said anything about plating those back windows and that. Well, then the head inspector gets underneath the car and he's looking at it, and it's the first time we'd ever run one where you could run a tranny brace, and we had it tied to our mid plate. And of course we had a lower engine cradle in it, but none of the engine cradle and the tranny brace couldn't tie together. So we just had it tied into that mid plate. And the rules said it could be built out of 2x2 square tubing. So I had some down bars that come down and then come back along the transmission, and then I zigzagged over the top of it with inch and a quarter wide flat metal that was 3/8 thick, and had it all welded together and everything. And he crawled in there and he was looking at it, and he goes, "You can't run that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he kept saying, "You can't run that. I'm not going to let you run that." So I finally looked at him and I said, because I thought maybe it was because it was tied to the mid plate. And he goes, "No, that's square tubing. You can't run that square tubing." And I pulled the rules out of my pocket and I said, "Look, your rules right here says 2 1/4 square tubing." And he goes, "Oh, I see. Well, I'm not going to let you run it next year." And I said, "Well, we'll be back next year." So,
Alrighty
Taking
then.
your money tonight.
yeah, we went out there and Nick ended up second in that deal, but he come down to him and 2 buddies, and they the one guy's car kept dying, and Nick had the guy that ended up winning. It was a Ford wagon, 64 or 63 Ford wagon, and Nick had him in his heat too, but he took his steering out, and the guy wouldn't give him the same shot in the feature. But Nick had him pushed up on the bank between a dead car and everything, and that other guy kept dying, and he finally got it over there one last hit and got that guy off that bank, and Nick ended up just running out of the car. I mean, that box Ford was front and back end was just looked like it was a banana when he got done. So,
as they all should.
but he told me after it was over, he said, "That's the funnest derby I've ever run in."
Really?
So
Do you
One
find
thing I noticed about going north and even northwest, them boys do weld them cars up, and it's a little more than we was used to.
Do you
they
find
had one guy
yourself?
there that had a radiator in his car that he took flat metal and took a hole saw and drilled holes in it and then cut pipe and stuck it between there and welded it all up and everything. He had a purpose-built radiator, but it was all just solid metal.
Yeah,
And they let him in, Their rules.
I
are
noticed
crazy
they had
up
a
there.
lot of iron in them cars. I mean, if you come from this area, you was underbuilt going to Nebraska usually.
Really?
Regina says, "Remember the Chrysler I brought to Abilene with 10,000 sheet metal screws in it?"
Who's that?
Regina. I think I kind of do remember that.
I think it was
That's
only
when
like
they outlawed and
7,
said
but
no
okay.
sheet metal screws.
Yeah. I believe those were her rules.
Yeah. I've had cars, one of them Imperials I was running, I blew the motor in it, so John Dunlap had a Buick motor there, so I put a Buick motor in it and was running it, and they changed the rule on that, said you gotta run the same make motor as you do car. So if you got a Chrysler, it's gotta be a Chrysler motor, so I just went out and bought a Chrysler motor and put in it. But, I've had them change rules because of me before, so.
I remember that Arnold Kratky brought that first Imperial to Abilene and dumped it out of the back of the wheat truck. He showed up right at start, at the last minute.
And he didn't even dump it. He just put it in reverse and backed it right out.
Or did he back it out of there? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
But I remember he
Bounced it
just,
down on the ground.
just bounced it out of the back of the wheat truck. But they was always after him because he had Chevrolet motors and everything. It didn't
He
matter
was
what
ahead
it
of
was.
his time.
There was a guy
But he was the first Imperial to come
around
to Abilene.
Beloit that was a body man, and he was running Imperials, and he'd always
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
He would weld the hoods down, and they changed the rule and said you can't weld your hood down. It's got to have to be able to be open. So he just took and cut the front foot off of it and welded it in and made the rest of it so it open and close.
Nice,
So,
nice.
and he was a real hard driver.
Yeah.
So.
What do you guys think of the current state of the sport today? Start with you, Wally.
As far as I'm concerned, it's kind of like, getting too expensive, too much work on a lot of these. These limited weld cars are harder to build than a mod. And the thing about a mod car, you can go out and run them 4 or 5 times. And
Well, it's not much different than a mod, really.
no, but that full cradle with the distributor protector and everything, and then the full tranny protector and stuff. I don't know why people want to build a limited weld car when you can build a mod for the same money,
Right.
and you win more.
Right.
Me being a fan, going to a demo, I kind of get to where the weld cars, the features are, the cars are getting so tough that they last way too long. They draw.
Some of the
drug
heats
out-
there in Abilene this year
get
were
drug
over
out
an
for
hour.
a long time.
Yeah.
I think Graves was in one of them heats that was an hour and 5 minutes long, just to make the feature.
So, what do we do? What do we do to fix that? Do we
I'm-
limit them on fuel?
I'm going to say
They tried that before, but
How'd that-
Yeah.
back when they had the championship deal, they figured up how many gallons you could
Wait,
run,
8
and
gallons,
that,
so-
they had a
6
lot of
gallon,
people
I
running
think
out
it
of
was.
It was
gas.
8 back then. It was 8.
So did
Hey,
that
or-
help?
It did.
It
We
sped
went
the
to
deal
a
up.
derby last year. We went to Bowling Green, Missouri, and run a hobo class out
Mm-hmm.
there. And it started raining before the feature, and we run out there in the rain, and that feature was an hour and 40 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
And there were several people that run out of fuel. Nick didn't. Nick and Josh's car, he broke the shifter, so he was out early, and Nick run around out there for that hour and 38 minutes or whatever, and took second.
I did
Yeah.
notice another deal. Here again, being a fan, went to Abilene. Was it last year? I think. And I couldn't figure out why they stopped the demo, and the guy ran out and tightened the guy's lug nuts up.
Took
with
them
the
off.
impact.
Started taking them off.
And then I figured he was taking them off. I
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. When you're
If they get
when
the
you're not
sandbagging, they try
Yeah.
to do that.
hitting, yep, and they're taking
You
lug
know.
nuts off. That
And
was. That
matter
was
of
pretty
fact, the one guy there that one night, the Cooper Wally,
Oh, yeah.
he ended up losing the front wheel because they took
Oh, that's
lug
right.
nuts off
He was
twice.
down to two.
So he ended up with one lug nut
No.
left on there, and he ended up running the wheel off of it.
Yeah,
But he
he did.
still ended up down there like second or
I
something
know.
like that.
Yeah.
He run
Yeah.
around out there for a long time on the hub.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, that's
I-
my only deal as far as being a fan, that they need to find some way.
We
to
were in the
shorten them
stands
up.
also, and
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. And I think they need to do something. That's the problem. There's like at Abilene, there's so many guys Abilene guys. It's a demo town,
Oh, it's
and
tough there.
you
it's
got
very tough.
15 cars or whatever in a heat, and 10 out of them 15 are buddies, you know, the other 5
Yeah.
are from out of town. Once the other 5 are gone,
Yeah.
it lasts forever.
Then there.
And I think they need to somehow or another speed that up. Yeah, everybody wants to get the feature, but
Sure.
they got to think of the crowd too. And that's one thing I told the combine guys.
Let's see.
I said, we're out there to wreck them son of a bucks, and those people in those stands
That's what they want.
is what we're here.
Yeah.
And I said they want to see road gear shots. They
Yeah.
want to see blowed out tires. And when them combine tires blow, you could probably hear it downtown Salina. Boom! They're big.
The
'Cause
team
we
derby last year, you know, they had heats that were over an hour long.
Yeah.
And that's 4 cars out there running around.
Yeah.
It's a 2-man team derby, so you got 2 on 2,
Yeah.
and
I mean, do you
But
start?
those heats, I think they need to speed them heats up somehow or another. They're going to either have to start breaking sticks, you know, if they don't get after it. Them, that's the biggest thing. They need to flat get on the throttle and get after it.
well, part of what
and
took
get
it
them-
so long last year was it's a team derby, right? Well, they were flagging them off when these 2 cars were picking on that one car. Well, there's still a team derby.
Yeah, that-
and so 2 on 1's not a big deal. If his buddy's down and out, you know, too bad for you, you know. But Chad was stopping that last year, and I told him after it was over, I said you could slow them, you could speed them heats up a lot,
Yeah.
you know, which he did in the feature the next night.
Yeah.
He let
first
2
night
on
was the
2.
worst, yeah.
He wasn't letting more than one team on it, but you know, if me and somebody else was after one team, we could do that. And, you know, 2 of us bid on one, but we didn't run. But you know, it was just one of them deals that
Yeah.
you got to be able to utilize your team. That's why you're running a team deal.
So on a team derby, do you guys communicate with each other, or is it just you make a plan and go in? Is there like radios, or
No radios.
The only communication is eyesight and thumbs up and thumbs down.
just make your plan and go in?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hand gestures out there.
We're not
you know.
talking about that one.
Like this?
I was trying to be polite.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're telling your teammate, you know, something.
Get that guy.
If he's got something going on with his car, if it's in the back, you're kind of like this, back into yours, and front end, stuff like that. But, you know, a team derby is a team derby. You ought to be able to get after it. But
Yeah.
I can see when you got 2 teams picking on one car, you know, that shouldn't be allowed. But it's a team derby for a reason.
It's a team derby.
Yeah.
And let's say at the same point,
But
it is a
the-
team show. I mean, that's
The biggest thing is they need to speed it up for the crowd.
Yeah.
Because there was people walking out last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe a smaller fuel cell is the answer. Who knows? You know, at least get
Well, or they just going to have to get after it in them heats. You're going to
How
have
do
to
you
get
make that
after it.
happen?
full stick.
It. Start breaking sticks.
Really?
You
Pulling more lug
you
nuts
get,
off?
You get, yeah, pull lug nuts off, something. But you start,
1, 2, like
you
that.
start warning them, yeah.
Start with 2 to start with.
Yep.
Some of them guys got $10,000 in a motor, which I can't believe. I ain't got that much in a drag motor. And,
Yeah.
Yep.
What about what can be done with your sport to bring new people to it?
The bone stock helped a bunch.
Did it?
Oh, yeah.
Semi-stock
When
did
it-
too.
when it
I don't know why
first-
they done away
yeah.
with that.
Well, the bone stock and just, you know, trying to get the kids out and doing stuff
Yeah.
and motivating them in there, just helping them out is the biggest thing. Some of the kids around town, I mean, I don't mind giving them a hand.
I'm surprised some of
For
them haven't
material
picked
and
up and
whatever.
started running that hobo. Some of them guys
Yeah,
that's been running
I mean-
bone stock forever.
The bone stock, I mean, to me, is probably one of the best classes to start out. Better than the
Right.
compacts or whatever.
Right.
But for it to keep growing, I mean, it's really what we need to do.
And they need to keep that bone stock.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And don't keep adding on this and that. And because next thing you know, you got a car that's in another class.
Well, Chad
Yeah.
has the best answer to that is everybody asks, like, you know, well, we want headers on our car. Great, move up to the next class.
Exactly.
I mean, there you go.
I
Exactly.
argue
want,
that
or you-
one, but
I
on
mean-
bone stocks, I like the headers, but
Some of them,
for
some
me,
of them,
to me, it's
you
safety.
know,
But
they allow headers on bone stock.
Some of them they do.
Some do.
Kimmy does, and that they do down at Canton.
Yeah.
But you know, you're gonna run.
But if they'd leave it where you just kick the windows out, don't even have to take the windshield out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
You
it
know,
started.
right?
Yep.
If they leave it that way,
Yep.
just I didn't even wire the door shut. I walked up and opened the door.
Crawl in.
Yeah,
I believe you were literally one of the first that did that also.
yeah.
Yeah.
I opened the darn door, just jump in there and go.
Yeah. And then you opened the door when you won and got out.
Yep, yep.
Wasn't that a red one? I think it
Could have
was red.
been.
Style points.
I think it was red.
I've seen.
What's next there, Mike?
I'm home. I went on the 50. I got it all.
Oh, you guys, I'll do this one if you don't mind. Do you guys have a favorite? You have a win that sticks out?
Oh, for me, I guess that one time when I was back here in the '90s, I won the first 2 nights of Salina and first night of Abilene. That was
In the yellow $400 car?
no, that was in that blue old
The blue- okay.
Willard, I think. I guess
Willard.
is yeah. But that was that blue '76 Buick wagon. It was a good one.
Engine? What'd you have in that one?
350.
You stuck with the 350s?
I'd get a motor that was proven that you started it up and it never died out there. I got it to where whatever it took to make it where it would not die, and I'd stick with it.
Okay.
I had a couple different engines, but
What about you?
I'd have to say Abilene. I had a '75 Pontiac wagon that I bought from Jeff Picking. He loaded it and drug it into my house there before Abilene and
How old
dumped
were
it
you
off.
with this time?
That was one of the last, not the last year, but the next to the last year that I run. So it's one of them deals. I won the heat on the first night on Thursday night, and I broke the steering gearbox. And of course, you didn't drag a bunch of stuff along to, nowadays you carry all that stuff for rebuilding between deals. So I took it home and got it fixed and brought it back the next night and won the whole derby.
The reason I asked you was when you get these cars drug home, who's standing there going, what are you going to do with that?
pull the good stuff out, and the rest of it goes to the scrapyard.
Yep.
Start over again.
I suppose my favorite would probably be Hillsboro, Kansas, for 2 reasons. It's an awesome track. If you guys ever get a chance to go down and watch Hillsboro, it gets down to the clay. It's slick. You got to drive. And you guys being dirt track racers, you guys know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
You got to be ready to wheel it. Really good competition down there. Those guys are great. Yeah, it'd definitely be Hillsboro,
Okay.
because I was never able to pull Abilene off. All these guys ganged up on me.
What do you got down there, Mike? You ready for another one?
Yeah, so the younger guys coming into it, we all have younger people that we know. What advice can you give them to push them to do it, not necessarily to get away from it? Because there's good and bad to everything, and we all want the younger generation to step up and join this community, because it is one of the greatest communities out there. So what do you guys do and say to those kids, and how do you push that forward to kind of hey, this is something worthwhile?
Anybody?
Just go get you a car and get started.
Yeah,
Don't wait.
Yeah, just do like
The
they did.
kids say, well, maybe I better wait a few years. No, get started right now.
Sports can
You
outdo
You
you
don't never learn sitting in the stands.
That's right.
It's a whole different ball game out there.
Get them there and get them involved.
Get
Yeah.
involved and
And once
thing, too,
they
is don't
run that
worry
first
about winning.
derby,
once you
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your car and get used to
yeah,
it.
just go out there and run.
you don't have to
Go
have
have
a lot
fun.
of fancy equipment. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can build 90% of everything you need.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is the heart of it, is that right there. Getting
Bone
in
stock.
there, learning how to do it, get as much seat time as you possibly can. And I mean, just like Curtis said, that car, it looks like it's done. Well, it's got one more in
That's
it.
right.
Mhm.
That's right.
You know?
We're going back.
Yeah, we can go back and try this one more time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it's at. I mean, just getting in there and getting the seat time and getting.
I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah, get started early and don't wait for another day. Just go.
So this is, This one's probably more of a chicken question because he's probably the most superstitious person I know.
Oh, God.
But like, did any of you guys have any superstitions when it came to your cars at all, or just get in them and go? I think Chicken does this like floating a thing around and like flashing glitters. I don't
He
even know.
does?
I have no idea.
I know
He's the most superstitious
That
person
would
I've ever met in my
surprise
life. I love the kid, but he's
my youngest son,
That surprised me.
every time he bought a derby car that had pack rats in it or possums, you could tell right away that's going to be a winning car right there.
Oh, jeez.
We got a co-pilot.
There it is.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
it is.
Wow.
He was one of them that anytime he drag a critter home, you knew he was going to win with that car. So he just laughs about it. Not really superstitious, but you know.
That brings up one night we was in Abilene demoing combines, and I don't know, some of you probably remember there was a cat jumped out of the back of a combine and went running through the combines and took off. And you guys remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
remember that.
There was a cat that was up inside of somebody else's combine, bailed out of there, and took off.
I remember after they put them new lights out there at the track that time, and old Dean Hansen was running, and he bounced off one of them light poles, and that thing sat there and just kind of bounced. Next thing you know, it's falling towards the crowd. And
Oh, no.
Some guy put his hands on the pole and pushed it over and got it
No
to
way.
go right down along the side of that bleacher there.
Oh,
And
God.
it's like, oh my God.
That would.
And they said that the I don't know whether it was the city attorney or something called Dean and said, "Hey, do you remember hitting that pole out there?" And he's like, "Nope, I do not remember that." I don't know whether they were going to try to make him pay for it or what, but you know, they ended up bringing the rescue truck out there and putting the big lights up so there was a dead or dark spot out there.
Wow.
Curtis, Regina Markley says, you remember that cat?
Yeah, that bailed out of the combine. That's what I was just talking about.
She remembers it.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that cat was up inside. It was one of Larry Parks' combines, I think, and it was right out in the middle of the arena, so everybody's seen it because it was right in the middle. And we just started, I mean, several hits into it, and then all of a sudden this cat just bails out and he goes zigzagging back and forth and then takes off, and everybody's like, "Hey!"
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right.
Chicken says, I remember hearing Jeff tell me his wife was mad he hadn't mowed yet. He told me he can't wait until Derby season is over. That's true?
Well, that's probably a possibility, yeah.
You didn't mow your yard while you were derbying? Is that the story?
Well, the yard's going to be there next week. The Derby's that week.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get
go.
her done.
We got to build.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. All right. So we got a couple more here left. So your occupation, you had your job during the day. How did that affect you and the sport and so on?
That's terrible.
Did your job agree with you, or
I was a farmer for start with, and so I did whatever derbies I heard about, I went.
You had time.
We ran all over the state.
Made time to do it.
Well, I figured out that, like I say, we started running Abilene. There was 80-some cars a night, and so about 2 years into it's when I started. If I heard about a derby or something, I took off and away we went.
How many did you go to, like in a summer? What was your most? You remember?
Oh, we hit a lot of them small towns, but we go to a small town, there'd be 30 cars there.
Mm-hmm.
We was running like 21 cars in a heat in Abilene.
Yeah, they finally
And
limited it to
I
that.
won a lot of small town derbies all over the state and other places, and they're just,
Some of those are the most fun, though.
Oh, they was a lot of
Meet a
fun.
lot of good people, interesting people.
Yep.
Clay Center, Blue Rapids,
Yep.
a lot of them.
Jim Klein says, think of the cars we thought were done and junked and know what we know today.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Especially with the rules they got today. Them gas tank protectors would have made some of them cars run 2 or 3 more derbies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
or more?
And we didn't use the front ends back then.
No,
The front end was maybe perfect on some of those, and the back end was wadded clear to the back window. And Oh, we're done.
Drop a
We
drive
didn't even
shaft
we didn't even use
back before
the front
sliders.
end
Huh.
back then, unfortunately.
Back to that cat. Regina thinks that it came out of Cody Chase's combine.
It very well could have been. Yes. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's been a long time ago.
It was. But yeah, that really had the crowd roaring when that cat come bailing out there. I think there's YouTube videos of it that are still being played on that.
We'll have to find
I
that.
bet Chicken will find it.
Yeah.
He will.
Yeah.
So Jeff, what did you do for a living back then?
I actually worked for Lampride Manufacturing over in Abilene. Boss at that time was pretty lenient. Every once in a while, I'd like, man, I got to go home and work on my car. All right, but yeah, you probably ain't gonna pull that one off anymore.
Still there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I took off. I left for 10 years. Went and did some other stuff. Came back, but yeah.
Was John pretty lenient with you, letting you go?
Oh yeah, yeah. John was pretty lenient. When I left there, I went to Kansas Gas, and of course I didn't work as many hours as at John. I worked a lot of hours and that. But once I started at Kansas Gas, it was 8 hours a day, and anything over that was overtime. So then I worked shift work a long time too, and that made it easy.
Sure.
But worst thing is when they transferred me from Abilene to down to Hutch. I had a bunch of guys that come over and help me, and we spent the summer playing baseball with the boys and building derby cars till midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and getting up and going on.
Been there, done that.
I had two pretty good hands that come over and helped a lot. They couldn't weld or anything, but they could sure strip them cars out and bolt stuff in it so we could go.
I got another question for you guys here. Kind of gonna run out of time here, but Ben Workman wants to know, how well did you three get along with Bud Davis and Canton? You guys remember him?
I went to Canton several times. I won Canton one or two times.
I'm
You
not
don't
sure who
remember
that-
anybody? You don't remember Bud Davis?
I don't.
Canton's another neat arena. It's huge, but
Is it?
Yeah.
I've heard his name. But yeah,
I've heard that.
Would you consider Canton a driver's track?
oh yeah, that area's pretty good.
I never run Canton.
No, you never did.
Oh, the arena's
Nick has.
We run
No,
down there.
shoot.
I think I won a couple times down there, but I took an old New Yorker to Lincoln, Kansas, and ran up there, and then we turned around and took it to. That was in the fall, I guess, and I let it set over the winter, and then we took it down there to Canton. Canton was earlier, first part of July, middle of July, and we run down there. It was before the Abilene Fair, but we, I think we won. We won that night in Canton there, I guess. They kind of barked about this and that. They was nitpicking chrome pieces on the car. You left a letter on the car, and you left a trim piece here and there. And they just nitpicking because I guess we were out of towners. Just nitpicking stuff like that. But
Well, they'd heard about this Abilene crew.
yeah,
Mike, you got anything over there?
I got one more.
All right, let's do it.
So family time. How did you guys manage not only your job, but then the sport, and then keeping mama happy? Good, bad, and the ugly on this, because I've been there, done that.
Mama was always out there helping me.
yeah.
yeah. Well, we had a
Her
good
and the
sport
kids.
group. I mean,
You see, Josh was what, a week old when we took him to Abilene that first time.
Well, we brought him home and you went to Salina with
Derby.
Curtis.
So you stayed home with the newborn?
But
See
we
how
had-
that worked.
But he was at Abilene
Uh-huh.
because he was born in August, and Abilene used to run in
Yeah.
late August, and he was there. So I don't remember on Nick, but he'd been to him too. But
Nick was in September, so the.
yeah, Derby was pretty well over at that point.
plan that out better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's one of them deals. She was working for Alco back then, and I was down at John's, and
Usually everybody was out there helping, so.
yeah.
Kids could get into the pits
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you could take the babies in there, and
Yeah.
the toddlers and stuff.
they
It
grew
was
up
more
with it.
family oriented at that
I
point.
think with
Yeah.
the newer generations though, I think we have to look at a little bit different things. And I think if the women would be like participate a little bit more, it might help out a lot with some of that.
Hmm.
Uh,
I remember the day my son was out helping in the shop. Of course, he'd always pick up a hammer, and he was beating on the chrome and all this and that. I hear this tapping over there on something. Well, I'm sitting there working on the derby car. He's over there tapping on Mom's 4Runner
Uh-oh.
with the hammer.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, oh no, Colt, no, 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 no.
Wrong.
I had a
He was about probably 3 years old or something. I don't know, but he was. I said, you can beat on this car, don't beat on that one.
I had a pretty much similar incident. Dalton was out in the shop working with me, and I go, it's time for me to start welding. You need to go in. And he might have been 4 or 5 years old, and I had a real nice driver sitting outside, 76 Impala. And I'm in the car welding. I'm like, what is going on? What is that noise? Go outside. He's got the headlights beat out of it.
Oh no! Oh no!
I was like, oh, no, that's not what I meant about going inside.
Oh,
You were grounded for
Whoops.
the rest of your life, weren't you?
Yeah.
At least they were lights.
whoops!
Yeah, it was nothing major.
Yeah,
It
at
turned
least it was
it,
lights.
he might have provoked me into turning into a derby car sooner.
I mean,
My trouble was this one was like a year-old vehicle, or less.
Well, it was a really nice Impala. I liked it.
Yeah, it was nice, and I
Bring a lot of money today,
panicked.
wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that was a $4,000 Impala. Come on.
yeah,
today.
yeah.
Yeah,
We wrecked a lot of good ones, didn't we?
we did. We did. And one of my good cars, Tommy Markley come to me and said, hey, I got a guy that's got 2 Chryslers. He said, I can't afford to buy them both. You want one? So I said, sure, why not? You know, went out and looked at it, and I took one, and I ended up with the 70 New Yorker. And I don't even remember what he got, but after the Abilene Derby was over, I won with it, and he says, I think I picked the wrong one.
You know, the last time we did this show, they were talking about dragging derby cars home from wherever they bought them with a rope or something. You guys got any great stories along that way, or did you all trailer your stuff back?
My first couple years, we hook a log. Well, I drive it to town. I lived out in the middle of the country,
Yeah.
and I drive it to town. Let my dad follow me to the Derby, and then we
drove
get
your derby car to the derby.
yeah, and we get right up there close to the fairgrounds or whatever, and then he'd say, well, I'll hook onto you with a log chain when you get up there pretty close, and then we'll just kind of tow it on in there. And then we'd turn around and tow it back out of town, and if it ran after the Derby, I drove it
Drive
home.
it home.
Or we drug it all the way home with a log chain for the first couple of years.
I had an old Chrysler, and T.C. Howard wasted his car at the first night, and so me and T.C. and Greg Houston went out to wherever, I can't even remember now where the car was sitting at. We had it out in the field somewhere, and they rolled it up on the trailer. We got it up on there, and they took a chain and wrapped around the front and hooked it, and it made it all the way to town. Turned on 14th Street there by the high school, or not 14th Street, but Cedar Street there, and that car came rolling off that trailer.
Uh-oh.
Didn't have a motor and tranny in it, so it was just rolled off that trailer, and I was in my old El Camino that I had turned into a 4-wheel drive. I had a big push bumper on the front of it, so I pulled in behind that car because I didn't want it to make it out into the street there, and stopped it, and we got it drugged back up on there, and I can't even remember where we're taking it. I think TC was building down there just south of the railroad tracks.
Lumber
there.
yard.
The little lumber yard, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we were taking it. So,
I had a cousin and lived here in Salina. And he was always helping me work on my cars. Well, his neighbor had an old Pontiac station wagon, so he bought it off his neighbor. Well, they kicked the windows out and got it ready to go, and they hooked a log chain on it, drug it all the way to Abilene from Salina. Not running, just put it in neutral and drug it all the way down there. And he got down there and he said, well, the thing won't move. And I said, well, if you drug it down there with a log chain, not running, you probably ruined the tranny. Oh, no, really? Well, it boiled over the transmission fluid or something. But anyway, they dumped tranny fluid in it, and away it went.
And it took off.
But he drug it all the way from Salina
Oh my
To
God.
Abilene.
to Abilene, Derby, with a log chain.
We've dragged some cars a long ways. We'd get in the car in the morning, Sharon, Chad, and I, or whatever. We go to Oklahoma, Missouri, whatever, back roads. And if we could find a car, we'd just chain it and drag her home.
Drag her home.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stories.
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
Nope.
Was it
Nope.
fun?
No,
That
thank
was-
you guys for having us.
Was
Yeah.
it fun?
Yep.
A lot of fun.
Would you do it again?
I probably still would. I was supposed to run last year. Chad wanted to get a deal together for all the old drivers.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah.
I was
And
down.
all we had to do was start, run, and drive. Take the windows out. Start, run, and drive car. Didn't matter what it was. If it had drive and it had reverse, good to go. When we get there, he'd tear off numbers. Like 1, 2, 3. We all threw a number in the hat, and he write a number on that key when you checked in. Well, then if your car was number 1 and I drew number 1 out of the hat, I got your car.
Okay.
And maybe Wally got number 5, and that was my car.
But he ended up
Really?
not doing that, didn't
But
he?
then nobody wanted to do it, I guess. Chad was for it, but I was for it.
Huh.
But just a fun deal, that's the way, yeah, it'd be fun.
Yep.
But, yeah,
So I guess if anybody does really want to do it, just contact Chad. And
yeah, there you go.
I'd start calling him tonight because he's not probably doing anything.
He's not busy. He's probably watching
But
us.
He's just sitting there watching.
No, he's
TV.
probably working on his capital car. So yeah, tonight would be a good time to call him.
But last year was the 50th year of the Derby in
Yeah.
Abilene, so he
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
do a special deal for the old timers.
Yep.
But nobody else wanted to do it, I guess. So
Huh.
Doug ended up running,
Yeah.
and with their other cars, but nobody else wanted to put a car together just to. I had a car and everything. I was ready.
I'm too old. I hurt too much.
Last
Couldn't
one.
do it again.
This is Chicken again, so you don't know what he's doing or where he's at.
Demo work.
Bird flu.
He said, didn't Dave Morvac win Abilene with an arena shot? And then Ron Heath replied that it was Justin, I think it was on Tom. Who's he talking about?
Tom Markley, probably.
Okay.
I believe so.
Go to the tape. Go to the tape. Bobby, anything else?
Nope. Ready to wrap this up?
It's up to you.
You
Them.
guys are some great guests.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you for coming over.
Thank
and
all you guys.
Applause
Thank
for
you all.
these guys,
joining
please.
us.
All right, thanks, guys.
Hold on, we got to get our sponsors in.
Yeah.
I guess a big thanks to my dad. He was the one who helped me start with, and all the people that used to help me, Lance Brule and the Boyers and Ledford and my son. He was a big helper. He runs some cars. We won the team show in Abilene one year, and Raymond Rice, some of my old buddies, used to come over and help build cars all the time. Well, thanks to all them guys too and everything, I guess. So.
Jeff, you got anybody to thank?
No, I had a lot of people help me out. Brian Elliott, Brian Moon. There were some of the main ones. There's a lot of guys after work come over and help, just depending on how much beer we had. But yeah,
Beer comes second, right?
well, at one point in time it did. I always made sure we worked before we drank, but it's amazing how long they stay.
Anybody you need to thank?
My wife Cindy and my son Josh and Nick and Kevin Clark and Jeremy Stuck, they helped me a bunch. They used to come over and strip all my cars and do a lot of stuff for me. So
Okay.
neither one of them ever derbied though.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah,
They just
my
helped
boys
out.
derbied quite a bit. So we each one of the boys have won Abilene in some way or another, like I have. I won
Cool.
Abilene 3 times, won Harrington quite a few times, and Clay Center quite a few times. And I don't think I ever won Salina, but I was second and third a lot. So
You know, it's kind of cool that there again, being a fan, going and watching and seeing you guys, but never ever meeting you before.
Yeah.
So glad we got the opportunity.
Yeah,
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
good times.
Once again, we got great buddy Mike Hill here for Hill Job Graphics. If you need any, he does all kinds of stuff: banners, demo numbers, hats, shirts, and a
Make
lot
roof
more.
signs
You
still?
name it.
What's more?
You name it.
Anything Mike
You
will
rake-
do.
Roof signs still,
Yep.
Mike?
Yep.
You need to get a hold of Mike at 785-822-4536. So get a hold of Mike if you need anything. And once again, Dean Clint over here, he like battled through a night tonight. He's like got some illness going on. He ain't feeling good, but he stuck it out for us. So a big thanks to Dean for doing that.
Show goes on.
Yeah. You didn't
This is
realize.
not the worst show I've ever done. I did a show where I literally had a trash can next to myself.
Thanks for not doing that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Show goes on.
I used to drink a lot of those at the bar.
You done down there with yours?
Yep,
Oh,
I
I
got-
get the long list.
I got the
Thanks so
short
much.
list.
Amanda West, State Farm Insurance Agent, located at 104 Northwest 15th Street, Abilene, Kansas. Her phone number is 785-263-2230. Give her a call for all your insurance needs. Check out Amanda's agency online and see the 5-star Google reviews. Amanda West, State Farm Insurance Agent, Abilene, Kansas. CDDA Championship Demolition Derby Association, the Midwest's premier demolition derby promotions team. For a multitude of demo derby information, visit them at www.cddademo.com. That's a mouthful to say. City Plumbing and HVAC. Sorry about that. City Plumbing and HVAC, located at 255 North 5th Street, Salina, Kansas. Give them a call for your plumbing and HVAC needs. 785-825-5459. City Plumbing is one of Salina's longest standing plumbing and heating contractors, offering repairs and installation. That's Chicken's verbiage.
Chickens.
Yes.
Works
And
there.
then, Bill Gritz, Kimball Midwest, for all your maintenance, repair, and operation needs, get in touch with me. I'll get you hooked up. So, there you go.
Did you get Klein oil?
God, I got it right here. I'm not done yet.
That's smash it.
Okay.
That's right here.
Never mind.
Jim Klein, Klein Oil, Delphus, Kansas. Jim was watching tonight. Really appreciate that. He wanted to help out support Race Talk Live and the CDDA. Thank you, Jim Klein, for your support. And Nate Dogg Fabrication. So,
Okay.
And
Guys.
also smash it, Derby promotions.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you. You guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. You've been great guests. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the knowledge and the insight.
Thanks everybody for
Thanks.
And
coming
thank
to
you
join
guys
us
for all
tonight, too.
joining us this evening.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
See you in a couple of
Thank you.
weeks.